how relationship struggles can feed the cycle of addiction and how to break free. When it comes to addiction, many people think it's only about substances or habits, things like alcohol or drugs or compulsive behaviors. But the truth is, addiction is often closely tied to emotional struggles, and relationship challenges can play a major role in feeding that cycle. Today, I want to talk about how conflicts in relationships, whether it's with a spouse, a partner, or even family members, can contribute to the cycle of addiction. We'll also discuss how recognizing these patterns can help you break free. We'll explore how emotional wounds, unresolved conflicts, and unhealthy coping mechanisms can keep you trapped in a harmful loop. And more importantly, how you can begin to heal and how to move forward. How relationship struggles feed the cycle of addiction. The first thing to understand is that the addiction isn't just about physical dependency on a substance or a behavior. It's often about trying to numb or escape emotional pain. And when relationships become a source of stress or conflict, that pain intensifies. The addiction cycle starts when we turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms like substance abuse, gambling, or other behaviors to avoid facing the real issues. Take a look at this. The cycle of addiction. It begins with an emotional wound. Maybe it's the hurt of feeling unappreciated by your spouse, constant arguments, or unresolved trauma. That emotional wound triggers a deep discomfort, often anxiety or guilt, which leads to the next stage, craving, or the urge to numb the feelings with something outside of ourselves. For some, it's alcohol. For others, it's a behavior like compulsive eating or even throwing themselves into work to avoid dealing with the conflict. These things provide temporary relief, but it's never enough. Eventually, you enter the high, that fleeting moment where the addiction works, and you feel that you've escaped the pain, but it doesn't last. When the high fades, guilt, shame, or anxiety returns, often stronger than before. This leads to the low part of the cycle, where the emotional pain deepens. And instead of resolving the root issue, like the conflict with your spouse, it intensifies the urge to turn to the addiction again. And so the cycle continues. Section number 2, identifying the emotional wounds. Section number 2, identifying the emotional wounds and triggers. So how do we stop this cycle? The first step is identifying the emotional wounds and triggers. Many times a relationship struggles, whether it's frequent arguments, feeling unsupported, or unspoken resentment, create wounds that we don't fully acknowledge. These unresolved emotions become triggers that drive the addiction cycle. Think about a recent conflict with your partner, or a moment you felt misunderstood or unappreciated. How did that make you feel? Did you notice a desire to escape, either by turning to a habit like drinking, binge watching television, or mindlessly scrolling on your phone? Those are clues to your triggers. The moments where your emotional pain becomes too much and you instinctively look for a way out. Acknowledging these emotional triggers isn't easy, but it's essential. Once you identify the root cause of your discomfort, whether it's unresolved conflict, feelings of neglect, or even past trauma, you can begin to address it directly, rather than masking the pain through unhealthy coping mechanisms. The step of self-awareness is the first crack in breaking the cycle of addiction. Section 3, healthy coping and healing strategies. Now that we've identified the wounds and triggers, the next step is learning healthier ways to cope. It's important to remember that the goal isn't to avoid pain altogether. That's impossible. Instead, we need to learn to face it head on and process it in a way that leads to healing. Here's a few approaches that can help. Mindfulness and meditation. Practicing mindfulness can help you stay present during moments of emotional pain without the need to escape. It teaches you to sit with uncomfortable feelings rather than run away from them. Journaling. Writing down your emotions, writing down your thoughts and emotions can help you understand the deeper issues at play, giving you clarity on what's really driving the conflict or pain. Therapy. Seeking professional help, whether it's through individual therapy or couples counseling, is a powerful way to address both past trauma and current relationship struggles. Building healthy habits. Engaging in physical exercise, creative outlets, or community involvement can help create positive coping mechanisms that provide genuine relief and long-term benefits. Healing isn't an overnight process, but each time you choose a healthy way to cope instead of falling back into the cycle, you're one step closer to breaking free. It takes time, self-awareness, and support, but it's absolutely possible. Section 4. The power of shifting your belief system. At the heart of all of this is your belief system. What you believe about yourself, your relationships, and your worth shapes how you respond to emotional pain. If you believe you're not worthy of love or respect, that belief will fuel the addiction cycle by reinforcing feelings of shame and unworthiness. But here's the good news. You can change your beliefs. By challenging and shifting the limiting beliefs you hold, you can change your entire approach to emotional pain and addiction. For example, instead of believing, I need to escape this pain, you can shift to, I can handle this pain and grow from it. It sounds simple, but this change in mindset can be incredibly powerful. In the next video, we'll dive deeper into how your belief system plays a role in addiction and the steps you can take to reframe those beliefs. But for now, just know that healing starts with changing the way you see yourself and your struggles. Remember, you don't have to stay stuck in the cycle of addiction. By identifying your emotional wounds, learning healthier ways to cope, and shifting your belief system, you can break free and move towards a life of healing and growth. Stay tuned for more, and we'll continue this journey together.